Yo, what's happening, guys? Welcome to another Assassin's Creed Shadows build video. Today we're going to go with the Master of Afflictions type of build. The idea is simple, it's just to be able to proc all 3 afflictions at once, which so far I haven't been able to tell concisely whether or not that's a possibility, but at least we do, with this build, we do get access to all 3 afflictions, and this turned out to be a pretty strong build. And you can see over here my damage numbers, you know, the average, which is what I've been calling it. But the number that's displayed above where the horse is, you know, with the 2 crossed weapons, katanas, that is some sort of average that calculates your damage somehow. And I haven't been able to figure out what it actually takes into account. It seems to be mostly your primary weapon DPS and then your trinket. And then the rest, I think it just does like a rough calculation, which is difficult because a lot of these are variables. You know, it's stuff that will get you more damage when it triggers a certain effect or affliction or state, right? But currently, this is my highest, you know, average number that I have for damage for all the builds. And I wasn't even going for that. But I mean, like I said, it's just a reference number. I wouldn't treat it as a definitive DPS. It's certainly not a DPS factor. So anyway, like I said, the idea is to be able to trigger all at once, which I can't really tell. I don't know if you are able to trigger all 3 afflictions at once, or if it's just not possible, but the icons won't display more than 2 afflictions at once. So I don't know if it's just a system thing where they just can't have more than 2 icons displaying status or afflictions at once, or it actually just can't happen. But I'm able to theoretically trigger all 3 afflictions at once, which I'm going to show at the end in a clip. But like I said, it just doesn't display the 3rd one. So difficult to say for sure. I wish we had damage numbers so we could more accurately measure things and test things, and it would make build crafting a lot easier. But hopefully in the future we'll get an update with damage numbers, you know, at least the option to turn them on. And it would be really nice if we had icons for, you know, whenever there's any sort of state or affliction or perk that's active, so that we would know as stuff that has cooldown and, you know, what have you. Would be really nice to have that. But let's take a look at the build. So this is the Tanto that actually has the highest DPS out of all my Tantos. And this is actually the genesis of this build, because when I first got this Tanto, I was confused because it comes with bleed buildup, but the engraving that it comes with gives me 50% damage from poison unafflicted enemies. So it just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. Initially I just thought that it was, you know, maybe some RNG factor that hasn't been accounted for and then needs to be corrected. So they need to, I guess, prevent different afflictions from being an option that you can get with an engraving, right? From whatever the native affliction buildup is for the weapon. But yeah, so I just initially I didn't give it much thought beyond that, but then I started thinking, well, what if I come up with a build that does multiple afflictions? And recently I started, like I said, trying to see if I could come up with something that's optimized. So I just used that, and basically it does give you the damage boost, but you do have to trigger the poison affliction with a different weapon and then switch to your Tanto, and then you'll get the boost once the affliction has, you know, been triggered and it's doing damage over time. And then I have the afflicted enemies are vulnerable, just because I really like that engraving. Then for the Kusarigama, we're going with the stone heart, and this is basically so that we can spread the affliction build up with the combo ender. And then the engraving from the Cane Kusarigama, which is 135 damage when surrounded by 2 or more enemies. One thing that it was an unexpected, you know, consequence of putting this build together is that it's actually so strong that I am tempted to either go with a different engraving for the secondary here so that we, so that I can reduce this to 100% bonus damage from the Mascata's Vengeance, because it is seriously too strong. I need to do, especially because I want to see how the afflictions, how they damage enemies, and they just die too fast. So the helmet that we're working with comes with 14% damage on hitting afflicted enemies, and then I put on the plus 20% damage with afflictions. And then this one, I'm using the legendary armor that gives you tool days buildup. So we get bleed from the Tanto, poison from the Kusarigama, and then we get days from the tool days buildup. So we have to use tools to be able to get access to the third affliction. And this one comes with knockdown enemies by sliding into them. And then I put on the plus 40% days affliction duration. And on the trinket, I put on the 20%. Well, this one came with the plus 20% poison affliction duration. And then I put on the Mascata's Vengeance for the 1% damage per unspent mastery point, capped at 200. And this basically is going to give us a pretty good mix of damage from all the affliction types. And it's actually a lot of fun, but like I said, maybe a little too strong. Then let's take a look at the skills. For the knowledge rank 8 skills that we're using, we're going with vulnerable damage, affliction damage, then damage with melee weapons, and then just regular damage. And then armor damage, which is where this is where I put my overflow points into, past the 200. Then since we're not using a katana, we're just going with the globals. Momentum builder, affliction effectiveness, melee expert. For the Kusarigama, we're just using entanglement. I don't really use abilities, so that's what I'm going with, and I'm staying at 200 points for the Mascata's Vengeance. Then the globals are affliction builder, multi-target expert, and critical proficiency. Then for the Tanto, as always, leap strike, escape strike, and blood rush. Then gap seeker and critical thinker. For the tools, we're getting all the bonuses for maximum amount of tools that we can carry, and then tool affliction proficiency, and the tool damage from tool professional. Then the shuriken fully unlocked for the ricochet and the ability to use throw 3 but only use 1. And then quick throw for ease of use, as always. From Shinobi, we're just going with these two that I really like. I never, turn these off. It's always Ascension Boost and Ninja Fall. And there's nothing really here that's relevant to this build. Then Executioner and Front Runner. And if I'm playing at night, I'll switch some of those overflow points into Nightcrawler for damage at night. Then all the chunks, which I actually, since I'm not using them, not even for a bonus, the ones that give you damage bonuses or affliction bonuses for chunks, I could just unassign all these and put all those overflow points into armor damage. Because I'm not really using anything. They just stay on. But yeah, so that is the build, and there's really not much beyond that. I'll do a little showcase so that you guys can see what it looks like in action. But like I said, my main issue is that I can't really see if the 3, they should be all active at once, but I can only get 2 icons to appear. But this one I was just gonna keep short and sweet. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.
危ういところじゃった。